everyone, my name is Bree, and lately I've been doing a lot of DIY projects around my house. I would not consider myself a DIY type of person at all. I actually used to hate having to paint walls. I used to hate having to build furniture and build things. And I don't know, as of late, I have just gotten all into repainting the backsplash and painting accent walls and getting our dining room together and building the dining room table, which is a 9-piece set. And I've just learned that I absolutely love it. I don't know where it came from. I think my dad had something to do with it. He was a woodworker, and I guess it just started to present itself. But lately, I've been loving it, and I figured today, why don't I start taking you guys around with me and just taking you along my journey while I start DIYing stuff. And you can see that a completely average person can actually do a lot of stuff on their own in their home with just a little bit of time and effort and, reading and seeing and trying things out, see what works, what doesn't work. For me personally, a lot of the stuff I do, I end up taking some corners because I don't have all that much time on my hands. So I kind of have to bend the rules a little bit. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. So you just got to play it by ear. But I can show you one of my first projects. I'll have to try to find a before picture. But I redid our backsplashes. This is like a semi-gloss oil-based enamel. And all I did was, I tried to score it. I tried to sand down the original backsplash, and it didn't matter what I used. It did not. I had a cat corner, and it just would not score. So I got a binding primer, and I did 2 coats of binding primer and let that dry really well. And then I just went over it with 2 coats of the oil enamel, and this is the finished product. And I absolutely love it. The original backsplash was just, the colors were all over the place, and it really clashed with the original countertops that were in here. I also redid our countertops into butcher block. I might actually go over the top with a different top coat than the one that was provided in the kit. I might just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and find a really good top coat to kind of seal these up a little better, because I do not want to have to keep redoing them. I think they came out great, so they're worth saving and touching up and then sealing them down really well. But today, my project is going to be cabinets. With my butcher block table countertops, there's just too much brown in here. There's brown tile, which will be on the list at a later date. But there's brown on brown on brown. It's too much brown. I'm brown. The kitchen's brown. It's a lot of brown. So we're going to switch it up today. And I'm actually going to use kind of like an olive sage green for my lowers. And I'm going to do the uppers in kind of like an eggshell off-white. And eventually I'll be adding some pulls to all of them. You can see that none of them have any pulls. So I think a gold pull would be a really nice accent to kind of finish off the cabinet. So today I'm just going to start with the island. This is going to be kind of an ongoing project that I will continue to share with you. I don't have the time to knock them all out today. So we're just gonna go piece by piece. I have a lot of cabinets to do. We have all of those, these, and then on the other side, we have this little corner, which one day, don't mind the mess, I wanna do something else with. This house was built in 98, and this is a very, very 98 kind of vibe. Although I love the desk, I just want to try to tie that corner into the kitchen a little better. So I have to think of some ideas to do that. But in the meantime, we're gonna get started on refacing some cabinets. Let's do it. Oops. So one thing I'm really bad about is thinking ahead. Even though I know what I'm supposed to do, I don't in the moment. But a really important step in refacing your cabinets is not mixing up what door goes where. You don't want to play musical doors while you're trying to finish up a project. So what I do, because I read it online, I think I saw a video or something, I'll try to find it and link it below, is you just take some tape and you write a number, just number it. So this is number 1. I put a number 1 on the door, number 1 on the door, and then I put the same number on the inside. So now I know that that's where this door goes. Very easy, very simple way to just remember where in the world you put that door. And honestly, it's taken me a long time to do this. Mostly because of intimidation. I was intimidated by the size of the project. It's a pretty decent sized kitchen. There's a lot of cabinets. I was intimidated by having to take off cabinet doors, sand them down, paint them, put them back. It just seemed like a lot for me. But I just woke up one day and was like, there are just too many people out here who are doing it. There's absolutely no reason that you can't be one of them too. You want them done. I'm not paying thousands of dollars for somebody else to come in and do it. And I just don't want to come into my kitchen every day and not like what I see. So there's no time like the present, as they say. So I'm gonna go do the other side, and then we are gonna move on to the next step. So I moved everything outside, the 4 doors that I took off my island. We're gonna be sanding them down. I obviously don't wanna sand them in my house. I have 3 babies. I don't want to get dust all over the baby stuff. But, you know, I just wanna point out, excuse me, one thing that's gonna be different about my videos is, what is going on? One of the things that's gonna be different about my videos is the fact that I'm not going to edit out a lot of the bloopers, a lot of the mishaps and me messing up or having to go get stuff, because that's part of the journey, and that's part of why my videos are different, is because I'm just an average person learning to do this stuff as I go. So I'm learning how to laugh at myself. This is for y'all to laugh at me, with me, and learn with me. I'll be, you know, learning as I go, and I'm just taking you guys along for this journey. So you're gonna see a lot of ridiculous stuff and we're gonna learn together. And for all you experts out there, please, in the comments, let me know how to do this better, so that going forward it will be a little more, I don't know, put together, I guess. It won't be so dramatic. So we're gonna start sanding these down. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea if there's a technique to sanding things, but I have a sander and I have a door and I got some power. So we're gonna sand it down. I'm using a 240. If it's not coarse enough, if it's not doing anything, then I'll go grab a more coarse one. But for right now, we're gonna start there and see what happens. And I'm not gonna do the backside. I'm too lazy to do that. And no one's gonna see it until I open the door, so I'm probably just going to maybe I will. I don't know. We're gonna find out. Let's go. So it is scoring it. It's working, but I think we could probably do a little bit more. So let me go grab a more coarse pad and I will be right back. Okay, so I think these numbers, the lower the number, the more abrasive it is, I think. It feels that way at least, so that's what I'm gonna go with. So this one is a 120. Let's see what happens. So I went inside to get a damp rag and to pull down the primer and a brush for the doors that we just did. And I walked inside and realized, duh, you have to still sand the actual island itself. So much for not wanting to sand inside, because you don't want to get stuff on the baby stuff. So I'll just move that. Luckily, it didn't make a whole lot of mess. I also realized I forgot this little bag to put on the back of the sander to catch any of the extra debris. It didn't make a whole lot of mess outside, so I think we're gonna be okay if we just sand it down, and then use a rag, wipe it up, sweep, and act like it never happened. What am I even looking for? I don't know, but we are gonna do that. And then by that time, the doors should be dry for us to prime. And after that, we'll prime the island. So let's get to it. I have these baby plugs on, in the plugs, and they are so hard to get off. So I usually have to get a utensil. I should have probably grabbed a plastic one. Spent 2 years in electronics school just for me to put metal on top of an outlet. So glad it didn't go inside. All right. Oh, Lord. So I'm just trying to score it. I don't want to I'm not trying to take off all the paint with the sander. I just want it to be rough enough for it to adhere to the primer, or the primer to adhere to the wall and to the doors, so that it'll stick and it won't start peeling off. So that's all I'm doing. I'm gonna do the other side, and then we're gonna wipe it down and then go back and start on the doors. So it's all sanded down. I wiped it down, and we are going to go back outside since that's where the doors are. I'm not bringing them all back in right now because I'm lazy. And we're going to prime those. And then we're going to go back inside, prime the island. And hopefully by that time, it's pretty quick drying primer. Let me show you guys what I have. So this primer is the same primer I used on the backsplash. It is Peel Stop triple thick, and it's a binding primer, so it should work really well. I haven't had any issues with my backsplash yet with peeling or anything. I didn't do it that long ago, so we still have to wait and see, but for the most part it's holding up really well, and I'm really happy with how it's sticking to the backsplash. So I have confidence that it's gonna stick to this as well. Okay. I need something to stir this. I'll be right back. Okay. Just got one of these paint stirrers from Home Depot. It is gigantic. I'm not quite sure why, but that's what they gave me. I should probably use one of those paint trays, but I'm not going to, because I don't have one, because I forgot to get one. So we're just gonna use this and a brush. Also not the right brush. It's one of those angled brushes for corners and such, but it's the only one I have right now, because the normal one that I had, I let the paint dry on it and I couldn't undo that. So this is what we're gonna use for today. And when I start doing like the uppers and lowers, then I'll get a real brush. So we're just gonna start priming. Get this out of the way. dry, we're gonna go inside and do the island. Then we'll take a break while it all dries, and then hopefully we can paint it today. I'm crossing my fingers that I can get that done before my kids get So the island is primed, the doors are primed, we're in good shape. We are going to just let that dry, cure, I think is like the term that you're actually supposed to use, I don't know. But we're gonna let that do its thing for a little bit, make sure it's ready for us to paint. So while we wait on that, I'm going to go eat some breakfast. See you guys soon. All right, everybody, we are back. The cabinets, the doors, and the island itself are now pretty dry. Probably not, I mean, you should probably wait a little longer, but like I said, that's not the point of my channel. The point of my channel is to do things in the most unnecessarily difficult way possible. So we are gonna get started painting on this. The paint I'm using is a bare eggshell finish. It's an eggshell enamel. I used this on the accent wall in my dining room, and I really love the color, but I learned something when I went to go figure out what kind of color and paint I wanted to use. I actually ran into the vendor for Behr paint, and I guess I must have looked lost because he asked me, you know, what I was looking for, if I needed any help, and I told him I wanted to paint an accent wall in my dining room. So he helped me find a color, and I decided on this green, and he asked me what finish I wanted to use. And I told him I don't want a semi-gloss because I use a semi-gloss on the accent wall in my living room and it's like too shiny. But I didn't want a matte because since we have 3 young children, I knew it was gonna be really hard to clean. So he told me about eggshell finishes, which I've never heard of before, but it's like between matte and semi-gloss. So basically, it's not as shiny as semi-gloss is, but it's a lot easier to clean than matte would. So that's how I ended up with that, and I'll probably end up continuing to use an eggshell finish throughout the like projects that I have around the house and things that I make and stuff. So again, I don't have a paint tray because I'm unprepared, and I still have this angle brush. I cleaned it off and let it dry a bit. So probably frowned upon in the world of DIY and painting, but that's what we have to work with today, so hopefully I don't make too much of a mess. It's a really nice day outside. It's warm. It's got a little bit of a breeze, but it looks like clouds are rolling in. I think it's supposed to rain today, so I want to try to get these painted outside before that happens, painted and dried. I don't know if we'll have that time, but this is the green that I'm using. We got all 4 doors done. Let me show you them. Come up to the ones that are in the sun. Well, they're certainly coming along nicely. This one's still multicolor because it's still drying, so we'll give it some time, see if I need to do a second coat or not. I'm gonna go get started on the island now. Okay, everybody. We're gonna get started on painting the island, and I'm actually really excited to see how it looks against the butcher block. So let's get started. Let's hope I can do this with making minimal mess since I don't have a paint tray. I do have a wet microfiber rag to just kind of edge up. I'm definitely not going to use painter's tape to go around the base of my island like I should. So fingers crossed. Okay, so a trick that I use, you guys can't see, sorry. So I was able to go through and paint this border down here without having to use painter's tape on my floor. The angle brush was actually really good for this. But just hold it, and then as I get closer to the ground, I angle my wrist up just a little bit to get that flush angle, and then I put my other hand underneath to stabilize. And once you find this straight line up right above your floor, then just maintain that line. You gotta go slow and steady and just work your way across it gently and slowly. And as long as you're steady, you won't really get, like I didn't get any paint on my ground. So just to slow and steady and stabilize your hand, just find that right angle that works for you, and you should be able to get across it without really needing a whole bunch of painter's tape. But if you're not comfortable or you're worried about it, just go ahead and slap some painter's tape down and, you know, keep going. Next side. Oh wait, just kidding. I lied to you. I still have to do it. All right, so we have done all 4 sides. I always recommend when you're done a side and you're moving on to the next, just go back to the side you were on and double check it, because with a fresh pair of eyes, you'll almost always find something that you missed painting and that you need to go back over, and you want to do it before it dries. So I'm going to go back to the other side and pull out the drawers and make sure that it's all painted, and then we're gonna go and check the doors outside, and we're gonna just let everything dry before we finish everything up. So I touched up the inner corners of the drawers. Now we know for next time when we do the rest of them, remember to pull out the drawers that can actually pull out. And I knew that, and I meant to do it, and for some reason I just forgot. So we learned that together. I'm not too concerned about it because you'll almost never see those spots. I'll have to keep an eye on it because I didn't pull them out when I primed either. So I'll just have to make sure to check to see if they're chipping in the future. But again, I'm not worried about it because it's not something that you're gonna really ever see unless you open or close the drawer. So no big deal, but going forward, we'll remember to pull those out before we prime and paint. We're gonna go check on the doors outside, and then we'll see what they look like, see if they need another coat or not. I hope not, because if I do another coat on that, then I'll probably have to do another coat on the island just so that they match. And I really don't want to, I'm gonna be honest. Like I said before, the paint is supposed to be a guaranteed 1-coat paint. And it looks like it's doing just that, especially with the binding primer. And they look really good. Let's see if you can see them. What do you guys think? I think they look pretty great. There are some spots that I could go over. I guess I have to try to figure out, do they give you that like antique farm feel, or am I just telling myself that because I don't feel like doing them? Right, so everything is dry now. I went ahead and I touched up some spots that I saw on the island. You can't really tell because it's all dry now, but I did have to go back and just touch up a few things. That antique farmhouse look that I was debating on outside didn't really work out. Some of the spots looked really great, but other ones you could just tell that I missed spots. So I went ahead, touched it all up, and I put the doors back on. I'm sorry you guys couldn't do it with me. I had to start dinner. I have 2 meals going now, and I need to start a third before I go pick up the kids. But I do want you to see the end results. They look really great. I'm really happy with it. The insides are absolutely not painted. I will go back at some point and paint them, but I just didn't have time today to do both sides. I will show you guys this. So this was the first door that I put back on, and I don't know what happened, but for some reason the screw, it just didn't go flush, and then I stripped it. So I couldn't take it out, and it wasn't sitting correctly, so it was kind of like at an angle leaning, and you could just tell that it was off. And I didn't know how to fix it because I couldn't take it out, so I DIY'd it. Please don't do this. But I put a screw on the top. I put a screw on the top to hold it in, to bring it flush with the wall or the side of the island. And it works. I mean, it's holding it. I tried to put a nail underneath it because there was actually already a hole there. I could tell that whoever installed this started there and then moved it up, and the screw was kind of already stripped, so I just made it worse, and now it's not coming out. But I DIY'd it. Don't DIY like that, but I needed it to be flush, and I didn't have time to really sit here and think of something like beautiful to do. So that may be a short-term or long-term solution. I don't know, but for right now, it's working for me just fine because you close it and it's sitting flush. Before it was like at an angle and you could see like the inside of the cabinet, and I just couldn't do it. I spent too much time today doing these for that to be the end result. So that's it. But other than that, you know, it's looking great. Let me take you around. It's kind of hard. It looks darker than it is because of the lighting in here, at least on these sides. But it's beautifully done. I love it. I can't wait to add gold pulls to it and to do the rest of the cabinets. If you want to come along with me in that journey, I'm very happy to take you. This is one of them. I'm just browning the chicken before I add all the other ingredients, and the other one is in the Instapot. And I think I need to do one more because I don't want to cook on Wednesday either. So, but other than that, I mean, thank you so much. You know, I just want everybody to realize you don't have to be a craftsman or woman. You don't have to be a handyman or handy woman. You can just be an average, plain mom and wife that comes in and changes your kitchen. I mean, by the time that I'm done with all the cabinets, I will essentially have redone the entire kitchen. My awesome brother-in-law, he changed out all my light fixtures from the ones that we had when we moved in a year ago. But other than that, you know, I redid the countertops, I redid the backsplashes, I'm redoing the cabinets, and I have no experience. I'm just doing this all on my own. You can too. Come hang out with me again and we'll do some more DIY projects, and we're gonna have a lot of fun and learn a lot of stuff. My 2 tips: after you're done painting, walk away from it, because coming back to it with a fresh eye, you'll see the spots you missed. And also have a damp microfiber cloth, because that helps clean up a lot of your messes that you don't want to dry. Wipe it up and you're done. And until next time, thanks for hanging out. I can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.